because they'd rather shut down the government than bring costs down for the American people. Everything costs more. Unemployment's on the rise, and it's only going to get worse because of their health care premiums rising by up to 75%. So let's say it again. Republicans would rather shut down the government than bring down health care costs. 2 months ago, they found it possible to permanently extend tax cuts for the super wealthy, the biggest companies that were all scheduled to expire. They've turned their backs on the American people, but they found time once again to cut taxes for people at the very top. My friend, the budget chairman, he said before, Democrats have added to the debt. Is there anybody on the side right now that's willing to stand up and say that in 2017 they didn't borrow $2.3 trillion for their tax cut? That's what I thought. Is there anybody willing to say that they didn't add $4 trillion to the debt with the last measure they passed called the Big Ugly Bill? Trillions of dollars being borrowed for a tax cut, and the bill is so popular, what they did with that legislation, it's so popular at the White House right now, they're trying to figure out how to rebrand it. We've already branded it. It's the Big Ugly Bill that is going to penalize middle-class Americans. The highest health care premium increases in 15 years. Prices are up, unemployment's rising, and the Trump economy with their tariffs are failing the American people who need it most. This morning, Democrats are not going to be party to these attacks on the American people. We have a simple plan here. Let's extend these health care benefits. We can move on to the next legislative business in terms of the regular order. The American people know this morning Democrats have their backs, and we intend to defend their health insurance plans. And with that, I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields. The gentlelady is recognized.
I reserve.
The gentlelady reserves. The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I yield 2 minutes to my very good friend, the distinguished gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Moore.
The gentleman from North Carolina is recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, this debate about keeping the government open is not just an academic debate. I've been here about 8 months. Before that, for about 10 years, I had the opportunity to write budgets for our state of North Carolina and our state legislature, where we showed how you can lower taxes, cut regulations, and turn things around, which we've done successfully. So I'm new in this game here in Washington. But I want to talk about something that's very important to my home state, and that is disaster relief after Hurricane Helene, which has been almost a year ago when that happened, and the ongoing efforts that are happening right now. And I want my colleagues on the other side of the aisle to hear this very loudly and clearly. If the government is shut down, those relief efforts, which are vital to my state, vital to other states, including California, that are dealing with cleaning up from disasters, vital to making sure that those things continue. If we shut this government down, those efforts will stop. That is malpractice. We cannot do that. And I'm reminded, and I'm going to give a shout out to Chairman Cole here. Back before I was a member last year, we came up with a delegation from North Carolina. We met with the chairman, other members of the Appropriation Committee, and very proud of the way that they, on a bipartisan basis, funded that initial tranche of relief for our state. And then we've done additional work. But we need to make sure that the
gentleman is recognized.
We need to continue the efforts to make sure that we rebuild in western North Carolina and any other part of the country that's been impacted. So my request to my friends on the other side of the aisle, there's time to debate all of these other issues as this appropriations bill passes through the process. But this CR simply gives additional time to work through this, and will make sure that these disaster relief efforts continue unabated. This is important. We owe it to the people of my district, of my state, and frankly to everyone in this nation. With that, I yield back.
The gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized.
I reserve, Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman reserves. The gentlelady from Connecticut is recognized.
I want to remind the gentleman from North Carolina that I think his constituents are just going to be very unhappy about an additional almost $600 in increased costs for their health care premiums, and almost 652,000 people in his state will be jettisoned from health care. Mr. Speaker, This bill is less than the Americans deserve, and we need to address the cost of living crisis, ensure this country has a high quality of affordable health care. The Republican proposal before us today does neither of those things. For this reason, at the appropriate time, I will offer a motion to recommit this bill back to committee. If the House rules permitted, I would have offered the motion with an important amendment to this bill. My amendment would allow the House to vote on the funding proposal that myself and Senator Murray introduced in each chamber yesterday and would gain overwhelmingly bipartisan support. I ask unanimous consent to insert into the record the text of this amendment, and I hope my colleagues will join me in voting for the motion to recommit. I reserve.
Without objection, the gentlelady reserves. The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized.
I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I reserve.
The gentleman reserves. The gentlelady from Connecticut is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I will reserve, but I am also prepared to close.
The gentlelady is prepared to close and reserves. The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I advise my friend, the gentlelady, I'm also prepared to close.
The gentlelady from Connecticut is recognized.
Let me just recall what I said early on in my comments. My Republican colleagues have once again chosen a bipartisan route. There was a consensus amongst the people who, in fact, deal with the appropriations process on both sides of the aisle. And we achieved consensus on the three bills in terms of the allocations and the top lines, and we said, yes, we are going to move forward in a bipartisan way to deal with those bills. There was also the consensus on a bipartisan CR. Lo and behold, no conversations with Democrats on a continuing resolution. As a matter of fact, if I can quote the President of the United States, he said, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time to talk with Jeffries and Schumer. The President said that. In addition to which, he has told Republicans, he said, pass this Republican continuing resolution, jam it down the Democrats' throat. That's the direction that the President would like to take us. He would like to take us to a shutdown, and the Republican leadership and this House has taken this partisan route. Democrats have been overwhelmingly interested in sitting down and talking about how we keep the government open. The fact of the matter is, the issues that are on the table here in this effort that are critically important, yes, are health care issues. And what are we fighting against? We're not going to support a partisan Republican bill that guts health care for the American people. And when they continue to want to say that the issues that we bring up are not germane to this bill, it really is a fallacy. That is the fallacy, because 67 pages of the 91 in this continuing resolution deal with health care extensions one way or another, whether they're for veterans, whether they're for others. That is what's in there. So it's absolutely germane that what we talk about is how they have slashed Medicaid of the largest cut in history, and 15 million people are going to lose their health care, and how they raise the premiums for co-pays and deductibles. And I am happy to share with all of my colleagues, Democrats and Republicans, how much increase that is going to cost to their constituents in their district. And it's also going to tell them how many people in their state are going to lose that health care coverage that they have. It is in black and white, and it's there, and the people of their districts and their communities are going to know all about it. They set in motion $536 billion in cuts to Medicare. And, as the ranking member on the Labor, Health, Human Services, and Education Subcommittee, I have watched them shut off the funding for medical research, including for kids with cancer. vaccines, and public health. This is a partisan Republican bill that guts health care, increases health care costs for the American people, allows the continuation of an unelected official to steal the money that both Democrats and Republicans in this House and in the Senate have moved forward on to meet the needs of the American people. That has to stop. And that is, in fact, the reason why Democrats are opposed to this continuing resolution. And they are foursquare for keeping the government open, but dealing with the needs of the American people. I yield 1 minute to the gentleman from New York, the distinguished Democratic leader, Mr. Jeffries.
The gentleman from New York is recognized for 1 minute.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the distinguished gentlelady from the great state of Connecticut for her leadership and for yielding as we debate this partisan, reckless Republican spending bill that continues to gut the health care of the American people. I rise today in strong opposition to legislation that continues the relentless Republican attack on the health care of the American people. What we've seen throughout this year, notwithstanding Republican promises to lower the high cost of living, which Republicans promised to do on day one of the Trump presidency, but we know costs aren't going down. Here in the United States of America, they continue to go up. Inflation is going up. Life is becoming more expensive for the American people, in part as a result of Donald Trump's tariffs that House Republicans continue to rubber stamp. Democrats recognize that the cost of living in the United States of America is far too high. We have to fix our broken healthcare system, and we also have to clean up corruption in this town so that we don't have a government of the elites, by the elites, and for the elites. We deserve a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. That's why we oppose this reckless Republican spending bill. Republican assault on health care has been relentless. Largest cut to Medicaid in American history. Millions of Americans losing their health care as a result of the Republican one big ugly bill. Hungry children have had food stolen from their mouths as a result of the one big ugly bill. That is going to make them vulnerable to sickness, illness, and disease. And all of this was done so that Republicans could reward your billionaire donors with massive tax breaks. In addition to the unprecedented assault on Medicaid, as a result of the Republican one big ugly bill, the American people are confronting the possibility that Medicare could be cut by $536 billion this year, the largest cut to Medicare in American history, as a result of what Republicans have done as part of their relentless assault on the health care of the American people. Premiums, copays, and deductibles are skyrocketing. Over the next few weeks, tens of millions of Americans are about to confront dramatic increases in their health care. Thousands of dollars, in some cases, tens of thousands of dollars in additional expense per year because of what Republicans have unleashed on the American people as part of this unprecedented assault on health care. Heard earlier today some of my colleagues on the Republican side saying that the health care issue was not germane, that we're raising issues around Medicaid or the Affordable Care Act, or increases in premiums, copays, and deductibles, or the fact that Republicans are dramatically ending medical research in the United States of America, including as it relates to research for children with cancer. Who does that? And the fact that all across this country, as a result of actions Republicans have taken and are continuing to take in targeting the health care of the American people, hospitals, nursing homes, and community-based health clinics are closing, including in all of your districts and throughout rural America. So don't come and argue to us that these issues are not germane. Let me tell you what's germane. Protecting the health care of the American people is germane, and that's what Democrats are doing in fighting back against this partisan Republican spending bill. There is an alternative. It's been introduced by Senator Patty Murray and Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro, supported by Democrats in the House and the Senate. It keeps the government open. It allows for a bipartisan negotiation as it relates to a spending bill that would actually meet the needs of the American people in terms of their health, their public safety, and their economic well-being, to actually try and make progress on lowering costs in America, which you promised to do as Republicans, Mr. Speaker, and failed to do. That's the legislation that we should be taking up. Republicans know that this partisan, reckless, dirty spending bill is dead on arrival in the United States Senate. And yet Republicans continue to refuse to even discuss protecting the health care of the American people in the face of a relentless Republican assault that will actually harm people and cause Americans, children, families, seniors, veterans, to lose their lives. We have a choice to make here in the House of Representatives. It appears that Republicans believe that health care should simply be a privilege available only to the wealthy, the well-off, and the well-connected. We strongly disagree. Access to high-quality, affordable health care is a right, and Democrats are on the floor of the House of Representatives vindicating that right at all times. And that's why we're voting no. Some have suggested that our principled opposition to the partisan Republican spending bill may result in government funding lapsing. But we've heard all year how Republicans have a mandate, how Republicans have the presidency, how Republicans control the House, how Republicans control the Senate. Well, if that in fact is the case, as is the moment, temporarily, Republicans will own a government shutdown. Period. Full stop. It's the Republican shutdown. We're fighting for the health care of the American people. We will do that today. We will do that tomorrow. We will do that next week. We will do that next month. We will do that this year. We will do that next year. We will do that at all times. We're standing up for the health care of the American people. Cancel the cuts. Lower the costs. Save your health care.
The gentleman yields. The gentlelady from Connecticut is recognized.
Speaker, I yield back.
The gentlelady yields. The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. That was quite an unconventional close. Normally, when you close, you're the last speaker. So I regret that, but I'm happy to always hear from my good friend, the distinguished minority leader. But that's an unusual move. And I would just ask my friends in the future, the gentleman has the right to speak, and the 1 minute is the 1 minute, and I respect that. Just please be here in time to do it before we close. With that, Mr. Speaker, I yield myself the balance of my time.
The House will be in order. The House will be in order. The House will be in order. The House will be in order.
The gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I won't take the 18 minutes that I have. I don't think I need it because the facts here are pretty clear. At the beginning of this process, I was asked to produce a clean bill for a limited period of time by my colleagues on the other side. That's what they asked to do. so that we could continue negotiations on a package of 3 bills, which are going well quite now and are happening. Then, all of a sudden, we have extraneous demands for things unrelated to the day-to-day operation of the government. With all due respect, and I think additional negotiations on those topics could happen. I think the majority leader of the United States Senate actually signaled they could happen, but not attached to this particular bill. This is what my friends on the other side asked for. A clean bill, no partisan riders, no tricks, no things, and give it to us for a short period. I was told by my distinguished friend in the United States Senate, Senator Murray, oh no, we don't want to go all the way to January like the Trump administration does. We just want to go into November. I said, great, I actually agree with you. I think we should keep this thing moving. But the thing to keep moving is the appropriations bills that fund the government. Now, if my friends want to shut the government down, they have every right to do so. You might do it today. You certainly have the power of the United States Senate to do that. But rest assured, you're doing exactly what Republicans did in 2013, and it did not work for them. They tied something unrelated to spending, Obamacare, and shut down the government. That was the wrong thing to do then. I said it was the wrong thing to do, and it was. You're doing the same thing now. It's nothing else. Now, if you want to have negotiations on these other topics, they're important topics, and they ought to be negotiated. But what's happening is not some cut that's in this bill. We're not cutting anything. A measure that my friends, and was passed on a bipartisan basis, as I recall, ran out. It's running out. Okay, we should probably talk about that. You don't do it on a CR. This is a manufactured crisis. You got exactly what you asked for. You asked for a clean CR. You got a clean CR. You asked for a limited amount of time. You got a limited amount of time. You asked for negotiations on the remaining 3 bills. Those negotiations are underway, and that's what this committee should be focused on. And that's all we're doing today, Mr. Speaker, is buying the time that we all need to finish a process that we're all trying to restore and we think is broken. Now we have people dropping things out of the blue that were never intended to be a CR to try and create a sense of crisis and drama. If you think that moves us in the right direction, I disagree. I think that moves us in the wrong direction. I think keeping the government open for the American people and negotiating in good faith on bills where we are close to getting done and moving it through regular order is the right thing to do. I think provoking a government shutdown is the wrong thing to do. If you disagree, vote no. Take your privilege and shut down the government of the United States, something you have repeatedly condemned Republicans for when they did it, and rightly condemned them. But you're doing the same thing, and you know it. You absolutely know it. So, you want to shut down the government today? Fine. We'll give the United States Senate the same opportunity if we vote to keep it open. And if they want to shut it down, that's up to them. But we are at the table, ready to negotiate. We're negotiating on the 3 bills we agreed to negotiate on right now. That's the work of the Appropriations Committee, not this. And that's what the CR would deal with. So, my friends, when I give you what you asked for and you decide that's not acceptable and you change it afterwards and you drop unrelated items in, that's up to you. But let's not have any pretense about what's going on here. It's political theater. Political theater, that's all it is. But you're doing it at the risk of shutting down the government of the United States. So, Mr. Speaker, I am very proud to vote for this CR. I'm proud to work with my friends on the bills we were supposed to work with. I hope we can reach agreement and bring those bills to the floor in short order. And with that, I urge a yes on the motion in front of us, and I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields. Members will be reminded to address the remarks to the chair. All time for debate has expired, and pursuant to House Resolution 722, the previous question is ordered on the bill. The question is on engrossment and a 3rd reading of the bill. All of those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Third reading.
A bill making continuing appropriations and extensions for fiscal year 2026 and for other purposes.
For what purpose does the gentlelady from Connecticut seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I have a motion to recommit at the desk.
The clerk will report the motion.
Mr. Laurel of Connecticut moves to recommit the bill, H.R. 5371, to the Committee on Appropriations.
Pursuant to Clause 2 Bravo of Rule 19, the previous question is ordered on the motion to recommit. The question is on the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. In opinion of the chair, the noes have it. The motion is not agreed to.
Mr. Speaker,
The gentlelady from Connecticut is
on that I
recognized.
request the yeas and nays.
The gentlelady requests that yeas and nays are requested. Those in favoring a vote by the yeas and nays will rise. A sufficient number of those having risen, the yeas and nays are ordered. Members will record their vote by electronic device. Pursuant to Clause 9 of Rule 20, this 15-minute vote on the motion to recommit will be followed by 5-minute votes on passage of the bill, if ordered, and adoption of the House Resolution 719. This is a 15-minute vote.
On this bill, the yeas are 210, the nays are 218. The motion is not adopted. The question is on the passage of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. The bill is passed without objection. Motion.
Mr. Speaker, on that,
For what purpose does the gentlelady from Connecticut seek recognition?
Speaker, on that, I request the yeas and nays.
The yeas and nays have been requested. Those favoring a vote by the yeas and nays will rise. Sufficient number haven't arisen. The yeas and nays are ordered. Members record their vote by electronic device. This is a 5-minute vote. On this vote, the yeas are 217, the nays are 212. The bill is passed. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid upon the table. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, the unfinished business is on the vote and the adoption. Resolution 719, on which the yeas and nays are orders. The clerk will report the title of the resolution.
House Resolution 719, resolution honoring the life and legacy of Charles Charlie James Kirk.
Question is on the adoption resolution. Members will record their vote by electronic device. This is a 5-minute vote.